So, hello and welcome to what is hopefully going to be the first in a series of works where we look to explore some of the key changes in technology. So in particular, we're going to focus on the impact on people in working environments resulting from some of the technological advances. In this particular episode, we will provide a high-level overview of what key technological developments that are likely to impact us before exploring what it might mean for both employers and employees.
Yeah, hi there. So I'm Carl Davis. So myself and Tom are going to take you through this particular presentation. Firstly, just a little bit about my background. So I'm a technologist and I help my customers actually navigate through technology changes, how it may impact their business, and actually help them to work out what the right strategy is to move things forward. And Tom, do you want to do the same?
Sure, yeah. So I've spent about 15 years or so now working across both financial services and motor industries. In that time, I've had some quite interesting times in various sales and marketing roles, currently focused on marketing, learning development type position. And Cal and I would just like to really collaborate and explore some of these interesting topics here.
Absolutely. What we've got to be able to do right now is just to appreciate that AI itself is not necessarily as far as developed, I should say, as people think. So there is a lot of work in terms of being pumped into AI development, but there's a lot of manual work that's been done by humans in order to make algorithms better.
Okay, so you're the tech guy, I'm not. What's the definition of AI? We've got this one here from the Oxford Dictionary, but just explain to me in words of one syllable.
Interesting. Well, it's essentially just is there a piece of work that's been carried out by a human that can be replaced by a machine? And obviously that work, the more sophisticated or intelligent it is, the harder it is for the machine to replicate. So I think that's the core definition of that. But like I said, there is a tendency to overstate the state of play as to how far AI has got. There's a bit of a hype curve, but we shouldn't underestimate the significance of this change.
Yeah, there's definitely a fear factor attached to it, I think, for a lot of people.
We have a closer look at the last 10 years. You'll actually see that unemployment is going down. So what is happening? So what it appears to be is that there is an evolution rather than revolution at the moment. And it could also mean that the new jobs that are being created are effectively on par with those that have been lost.
Yeah. So just thinking about the impact on employees, and I think in holistic health probably captures quite a broad spectrum, but just sort of drilling down on a few key areas of how technology in the working place could impact on them. We'll start on the left-hand side here with spiritual, and I promise you this has nothing to do with religion or practicing Tai Chi or anything like that. But actually, this is about giving the employees some meaning and some purpose. So each of those people are human beings and they want a human experience. And actually part of that is having clear ownership of tasks, responsibility, and it really couples quite closely with the social aspects. So there's going to be an expectation which will change in terms of the social environment and culture within these businesses. And that, of course, does help with positive mental health. So we see all of these things interconnected. So having those creative abilities, having those development opportunities to progress and explore new skill sets, I think is going to enable these employees a positive working environment. And of course, the emotional and physical impact which is attached to the first ones is significant. It's about having that work-life balance. It's about having opportunity, and it's about satisfying what all of us want as human beings, which varies person to person, but we all have broadly the same needs.
And the main question for me, are we going to have a shorter week as a result of technological advancement? Is it going to be a 4-day week?
I think that's wishful thinking. I think there's plenty for us as human beings to do. Actually, what it really might mean is we get rid of some of the mundane tasks and focus on the things that only people can do, which is people interaction, creativity, And of course, all of these things are going to need decisions being made by people ultimately. I mean, the employers, there's going to be huge impact on the employers if we think about what it means to them. We've already mentioned about the social and cultural impact. It's actually the employees that have got to create these environments, and it isn't one day where it just switches from one to the other. It's a long time to transition between the two. It means significant investment, probably in employee development, but also attracting employees to whatever industry they're in. Of course, there's often specialist knowledge and support needed in these transitions. Well, if they're not a big company already and they haven't got the resources, how are they going to do that? It might mean partnering, more collaboration with specialists. It's certainly going to mean that they're going to have to monitor employees very closely and look at how they develop them and where they get them from. And actually, just as importantly, how they retain them.
Yeah, I think the key thing for employers is also, will they survive? Can they survive with some of the new technologies that are?
Absolutely, because if they don't keep up, someone will.
Yeah.
Someone will eat their lunch.
Exactly. So I think there are some industries that will face existential threats that they need to respond to.
I think one thing they've got to make sure they get right is the balance between what's going on with technology and having the human touch. I don't know about you, but I would much rather speak to someone either face to face or on the phone than speak to the robot. Certainly when I'm making a big or emotional purchase. When it comes to Amazon or something like that, and it's a small transaction, it's less emotional, actually it's less important, but it's getting the balance right. It has a huge impact in terms of the customer experience. So how the human interaction is weaved into the process actually potentially could either add or detract from the value that the customer is receiving. And we know that there's been numerous studies done that links the customer experience with profitability, and it really gives companies the edge against competitors when done correctly.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Amazon earlier, and I think what's interesting about Amazon is that they're quite keen when you do contact customer service for them to talk to you, versus a lot of banks out there who would rather not talk to you and use automated system.
And I wonder who has a higher Net Promoter Score.
Yeah.
Yes, I know which one.
Indeed.
And it's interesting actually the move which they're taking. So Amazon more recently has been in America certainly opening stores. But actually what they're doing is not opening in the traditional sense. They're just redesigning that experience for customers. And we see more and more companies now which perhaps started online and on Casper. I think they're one of the biggest mattress sellers in the world. And they've created these city centre experience hubs to provide human interaction, but also give customers the ability to test their products. They're not there to sell products, they're there to actually involve the customer in that process. And I think that's going to be a massive difference going forward. And of course, in all of this, we know, and we've mentioned it already, there is going to be a gap. There is going to be skill shortages, particularly for some of these emerging markets where perhaps there isn't this established workforce. So there's a huge opportunity really for employers to go out there and attract people from the right places, and actually then they've got a essentially blank canvas to build their work staff as long as they retain them and create something quite special. Some of that might be retraining and redeployment of staff, and some of that is, as I say, going to be training current staff or attracting new ones to the industry. We'll sign off with Mr. Bezos, who is pretty well known for working in this sort of area. But actually, I think he summed it up pretty well. In the fact that he's saying the future will change, rather than moan about it, let's get on with it and lean into that wind and do something special.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the fact that he said, complaining isn't a strategy. So when you do see a change coming, it's best to point your organisation and yourself in the right direction rather than trying to fight against it. So I think it's a great aim.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for listening. Hopefully we will come back and see you soon.